Hello everybody! Welcome back to Let's Play Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. This is Vitafuser. In our last episode we met Sherlock Sholmes, and he explained his reasoning for why the heck we are in shackles. On top of that, we found out that Hosunaga is in here as well, and we met a very burly Russian man with a very, very hungry-sounding name, Biff Stroganoff. Alright, let's rock and roll. Knock, knock. No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in here to help with our inquiries. How annoying. Ah! What was that? Came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. Must have been a woman. Stand aside. I'm about to break the door down. Mr. Sholmes! I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges. Wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? And how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What, pray, can I kick? Yourself. Kick yourself. I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. Oh, God. Oh, wow. Who are you? A Western gentleman? This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. A woman! Do not be absurd! Snippity snip. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. True, this old man does appear to be the only person in here. In that case, who just screamed? Get out, all of you, now! Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimesby Roylotte, I believe. Yes, that is me. And you are? I'm the one and only, the actual Sherlock Sholmes. You've heard of me, no doubt. No. I'm a great detective among detectives. One who adorns covers of popular magazines, no less. I assure you, you must trust me completely. This man uses that magazine like a business card. A detective? I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might I be so bold as to ask you to open that small traveling case? What? Don't be stupid! How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's own trunk. Don't look at me. Oh my! Did you see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Yep. The case just shook. Leave now! Otherwise I'll call the steward. So this is Cosimo's neighbor, Mr. Grimesby Roylotte. There's no doubt about it. This strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some clues before that burly sailor returns. Alrighty. Why are you in the wardrobe, Holmes? Sholmes, whatever. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed. I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time. That you would need to call my great powers of detection into service. Oh, and it would seem the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually. You're spot on, for once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylotte, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what it is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Why? The truth, of course! That reminds me of a puzzle. Oh, wait a minute. Wrong professor. Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when his secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Yes, please. Well then, what you are about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? Yeah, that would be anyone's reaction. From time to time, it occurs to me. Is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness? Or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you or anyone. That's right, and Mr. Sholmes. I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. Shh! I must have complete silence! What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that culminates all the facts. Mr. Roylotte, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. Oh God, here we go. What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you are about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? No. No, definitely not. And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn. You are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a very most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quavers with nervous tension, as you realize you have been discovered. Does it not? Hey! Oh, Naruhodo-san, I never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was some vague deductions. That was a great deduction. Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. He can deduce all there is to know about a person. What? What ineffable twaddle. Oh yes, I've read about it countless times in the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. Yeah. I can hardly believe it, but all the color has drained from Mr. Roylotte's face. Looks like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How? How could you? How could I possibly know such things? You wish to say. Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So do I cordially invite you on a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. The game is afoot. Old man's identity. So the dubious-looking Russian Mr. Roylotte, obviously. What catches the eye in the first place? Is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. No. Next, we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now, moving on. The question then begged is, why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylotte? Probably because it's itchy as hell. Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. If you will, regard this morning's newspaper, in particular the fascinating front-page article, which it would appear you have read also, Mr. Roylotte. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary Villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article professes an enormously copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gives you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, Villain Bolshevik. He doesn't look anything like him. Not that I've heard of you myself. You understand. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime? Over there! Oh yes, Mr. Roylotte. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. Ah! And I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance fails. Falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. No. This time I think that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation. A young lady, perhaps, once light enough to fit therein. Don't be absurd. And what, pray, would the identity of this young lady in the traveling case be? Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil has betrayed you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found on the pages of this newspaper. For there is another, more stimulating article. As if we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. That is probably the most realistic thing you could have said, although it's still off. This concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of the Russian enigma, Ilaminsky. Suzato-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, could you come here a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions. Would you mind? Not at all. Go on. Well, to start with, there's the newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other. Yes, I recall our discussion earlier. At this time, I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary, well able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylotte does look more like this man than you do. The mustache is off. That's not the point. And another thing, part of him abducting the ballerina. Indeed, a truly startling revolution. At first glance, the case would appear too small to abduct a young woman, to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old into that case, even if you pushed real hard. I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years' worth of her life would be poking out from the case. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain litheness in their bodies. Vinegar? For such a sour bunch, it could surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Yuck! Just vinegar? Yes. Oh dear, you might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes. This whole thing is turning into a circus. You are not a... Mr. Naruhodo, something's occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions right now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of the matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic that seems a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Miss Suzato. It's just one or two key words in his deduction that seem to let it down. So I was wondering if we might perhaps technically switch them for alternatives. Switch some keywords in his deductions. Alright. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. This guy's a piece of work. I wonder how anyone puts up with me. Ha 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 ha! We're wondering the same thing. It's not that funny. And you, my good fellow. Sorry. Take a moment to look at your wrists. Hey, the shackles are on. Where are your handcuffs? Huh? How did... I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you are a marvel. No, he's Detective Comics. And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrists when we are finished. I'm not worried. In fact, I'd rather stay like this. So, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylotte. Obviously, what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could we possibly want to use so as such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away your copious beard, you sport. I'm not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I doubt that's something I'll ever have to worry about. It doesn't sit quite right with me, though. Spoiler alert! You don't use shears like that. Which means I suppose that the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a key word here, Naruhodo-san, and see if it helps better. A long, hard look at Mr. Roylotte. I wonder if it's really his beard he intended to use those shears on. We find something that works better I'll leave the rest. Alrighty. Anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around that last sentence. Oh? Golden locks. What the? What's this? It looks like a cascade of stunning golden locks. No, the color's not the point. The point is, what's it doing on the back of Mr. Roylotte's head? And how is it growing out from underneath his thick black hair? Why yes, that's true. It's stunningly beautiful and stunningly surprising. Something's definitely not right here. Alrighty, with that. There. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks you sport. Indeed. You've identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. Right. Such lush, golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. Don't knock it. I've seen... don't knock it. Some guys do have wonder genetics. I'm definitely not going to be one of them. You're not a man at all. You're a woman. And judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one's still very much in her youth. Oh no! If only I'd managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected it. The question then begged is this: why would you desire to rid yourself of these magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. Well, that was a shock. I had no idea that man was a really young woman in disguise. Did you? What? Why are you staring at me like that? Yes, it was a surprise. Naruhodo-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry. You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room deducing the facts with Mr. Holmes. I'm doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. Don't lie to us. This is business. Alright. The evidence that he's picked out doesn't seem to fit the facts at all. She can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. Suppose it's because the deduction as a whole has taken a different direction. Yes. So let's switch the evidence for something else. This woman needed to hide her true identity. Either read or heard something about a young woman like that. Right here. Alright, I'll do my best. This is the only thing we've had. So, rock and roll.
Yes.
The evidence that reveals your true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina. That's right. You've hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. It would appear that we were finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of the Novovich Ballet's prima ballerina. Miss Nikolina Pavlova. Right! Ow! Youch! No. You're right. My real name is Nina. I mean, Nikolina Pavlova. What the hell is going on out there? But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. So, now it's for my second conclusion. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over there. Oh yes, Miss Pavlova. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance fails. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. A traveling case. I don't think so. She's the ballerina, and she's right in front of our eyes. So clearly she can't be inside that traveling case as well. After all, it's only one ballerina and not two of them. No, that's right. It seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? I seem I'm gonna have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake. Again. You seem to look pleased, Naruhodo-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around with Mr. Sholmes? Stop it. Anyways, there must be something else that shows what she's up to. Oh ho.
Yes.
The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. Ah! I believe this tiara is worn on stage by dancers in the Novovich Ballet, is it not? Indeed. It would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in this newspaper article. And if reporting is to be believed, it's an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary, the crime you have committed is theft. Oh no! Yes, you left your ballet troupe, unlawfully taking their precious tiara with you. Ah! I have no one, no family, no friends. I am all alone and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia. It belongs to me. This girl is only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself. Eesh, she must have been extremely lonely. Alright, I will tell you everything. There is no point to hiding it now. Come, come, let us not be hasty. What? There remains one unsolved mystery about you. Mystery? What do you mean? You've staunchly refused to open this traveling case of yours in our presence. It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there exists some reason why you wished it to remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavlova? My dear girl, there is no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case before I have even laid eyes on it. Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? You're careless, cool. Blah, blah, blah. The reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the books on the shelf. Change tack with his deductions now. Excuse me. Why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf into place? It's a wild guess. Would have to be written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. Miss Pavlova certainly did cast her eyes in that direction. I noticed it myself. Yeah, it's not about the books. I've got a good idea what it is. Rules of passage. Must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. So I've actually been serving time for weeks now, have I?
Yes!
The rules of passage. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from the carriage on this vessel. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time, but no weapon or other dangerous item would move of its own accord. Which leaves but one possibility, Miss Pavlova. Inside your traveling case is the last item listed as forbidden in the vessel's rules of passage. A pet. Possession of a prohibited animal. Solved. Deduction complete. So clearly, you aren't who you said you were. No, I am not Grimesby Roylotte. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. Later that same night, you stole aboard this vessel, which couldn't have been easy. The Burya is a huge steamship with a vast crew. Could you really have snuck on board without being noticed? In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman. And you intended to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. Yet to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So if it was just you, about to cut off your own hair, who was it that let out the scream we heard from outside the cabin? Veritable tinkling of a bell? Why, none other than the young lady, naturally. More like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away in Shanghai. I was sure they would come looking for me. That's why I decided to, how do you say, disgust myself? No one would recognize me. As a result, you transformed yourself into that questionable old man? I see. I put on the fur hat and fake beard, and just before you came here, I saw in the newspaper, right on the page, there was a picture of me. I was so frightened, I couldn't stop from screaming. I knew if I didn't change my appearances completely, they would find me. So I decided to cut all my hair off as fastly as possible. So I picked up the scissors in my hand and... At that precise moment, we walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? Things do indeed happen like that, from time to time. Are those two even talking about the same thing? There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? You're right. It is my dear friend inside. My only friend in the whole world. Please, don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, you say to any of the crew. Your secret is safe with us, I assure you. But in return, you must tell us in as much detail as you can muster about the events of last night. Yes, all right. I will tell you. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, wasn't it something, Mr. Sholm's great deductions? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what. But at least Miss Pavlova has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. Indeed, it is incredible! And one more thing. Oh, yes, what? Observe your wrists. Not again. Ah! Your hands are cuffed again. What? But how? True to my word, I've restored your shackles. When? And why? There is still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry to say, it can't be helped at the moment. Can it, really? Anyway, let's listen to what Miss Pavlova has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what the speckled band that Kazuma-sama wrote about his diary really was. Do you know that someone was killed in the cabin next to this one at night? One of the crewmen told me this morning when I was eating breakfast. The man who died, he was a friend of mine. Oh, the man of mine, he was a friend of mine. Oh! That's why we're trying to find out what happened. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Perhaps you heard a strange noise, for example? Perhaps people talking? Perhaps the ship was absorbed in a wild tempest? Perhaps its steam engine exploded? Perhaps, Sholmes, you're full of shit? Perhaps everyone on board would have noticed if that had happened? Miss Pavlova, is there anything you can tell us? I don't know. I'm sorry, but all I could think about last night was what I had done and whether they would find me. I didn't notice anything that was happening around me. I see. You've run away from your ballet company, haven't you? The Novovich Ballet? Yes. I'm traveling to Great Britain, and from there, I want to go to America. I will never dance again. I want to forget everything about the ballet. I will start a new life. Oh? You wish to forget? Challenging proposition. When you have that striking tiara as a reminder. But the tiara is mine. I need to live. I have no money of my own. The Novovich Ballet gives us only a little food and water. And we must dance all over the world. Oh, it's one of those ballets. I had to run away. I had no choice. If I stayed, it would have killed me. So you ran away to protect yourself. Yes, and the crew of this ship, they have all been kind to me. They let me come aboard, and they said I could hide in this cabin. That is indeed the truth, Miss Pavlova. It creates a most intriguing conundrum. Yes, it does. What do you think about it, Mr. Naruhodo? Me? Oh, well, yeah, of course. I think we should hear Miss Pavlova's explanation. Miss Pavlova, allow me to pose you a riddle. According to this newspaper, it was only yesterday you absconded from the ballet. Now, that being the case, it must have been last night you boarded this vessel. However, the SS Burya stopped by no port last night. Ah, that's it, of course! So how is it, pray, that you came to be aboard? Now that I think about it, the crewman outside the cabin acted very strangely when we mentioned that. It was just after we asked him about when the occupant of this cabin came aboard. That is not your business. Yes, you're right. You did seem to be hiding something. An angel descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to the stage. Sorry, what was that? It is how the Russian newspapers described one of my performances. And that is how I came here too. I descended from the heavens, because I am an angel. You don't say. Considering English isn't your mother tongue, your description is very vivid. Mr. Sholmes once said, I never can resist a touch of the dramatic. Seems Miss Pavlova's the same. A genius descends from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to detection. Words once said about myself. No, bullshit. A quote from a wonderfully extravagant advertising. The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, in fact. Yes, Mr. Showy. Anyway, it doesn't look like Miss Pavlova's going to tell us what really happened. So the friend you mentioned is inside your traveling case, is that right? I don't think animals are allowed on board according to the rules of passage. Oh, please, don't tell any of the crew. If they found my precious... And the burly Russians would bestir themselves in unison to throw you and your case overboard, no doubt. Ah! So reassuring, Mr. Sholmes. But what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy? It is, isn't it? Maybe an adorable little rabbit? Ha! You credit Russia as a land with small rabbits, do you? Oh, don't they have small rabbits there then? You may well ask. I have no idea. Ha. You two are miserable bunglers when it comes to understanding the nature of young ballerinas, friends. Isn't it obvious? Must be a chicken. You're dead wrong. Really? Consider the benefits. A rousing wake-up call, daily fresh eggs, and when adversity strikes, it could satisfy the needs of sustenance. So you'd eat your friends. I'll remember that. Well, it would appear this friend's identity is a closely guarded secret not to be revealed. Ah-ha-ha-ha-ha! She obviously doesn't quite trust us yet. There's something I'd like to show her, I think. Alrighty. Alright, one last thing to go, and then we'll have our next episode. This is the diary of my friend who passed away. His diary? Yes, and he wrote in it last night before he died. Something a little unusual. It reads, I can hear a faint whistling sound. And then a few minutes later, what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? I don't understand. It's strange, isn't it? But the ventilator he mentions joins to this cabin, you see. It's up there on the wall. In other words, this cabin and the victim's cabin are connected together. Oh! Miss Pavlova, has something occurred to you? Does the speckled band the victim mentioned mean something to you? Or the whistling sound, perhaps? No. I don't know anything. Oh. Alright, with that, we'll save this for the next part. I'll see you guys next time.